Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Anna from Astraladytarot. It is Tarot Vlogmas December 30th, and today the question is, what should you leave behind in 2021? For this question, I wanted to again switch it up a little bit. I'm doing a sinful tag by Sylvain's Deadly Sins, 7 decks for deadly sins. Can you tell I've made an effort? Honestly, I should have done this tag for yesterday's prompt. What are your goals for next year? Because I want to be more sinful. Anyway, we have 7 sins: pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. And I decided to put one deck in each category. And I hope you enjoy. Let's start with pride, a deck you purchased or use for flexing. Without a doubt, that is my Rider-Waite-Smith blue box. This is the Waddingtons, meaning it's a blushing fool. This is where it says Waddingtons, when it says Waddingtons, and it's actually that deck that is supposed to be in this box, then it's a blushing fool. Obviously, I did not need this deck because I prefer my Centennial. I knew that would be a love that never dies. And yet, I purchased this deck. Now, I was lucky because it was very inexpensive, especially regarding its, a blushing fool. But it's still very nice. And yes, it's a little bit of a flexing pride kind of thing because this deck is wanted. I think a little bit less nowadays than maybe last year or 2 years ago because we have so many cool. Is this in order? No, because we have so many cool historical Rider-Waite-Smith reproductions. And so maybe we don't really absolutely need to have this deck. Although holding this deck in my hands, it feels like a part of history. You know what I mean? And the colors truly are beautiful, and it's fun to have something that is, I don't know, it's not nearly as rare or treasured, I think, as having an original Pam A or anything like that, but still, it's nice. It's like, yeah, as I said, holding a part of history, and so it's not just for flexing, obviously, but I think the reason I hold on to this deck, because I don't read with it a lot, might be tied to, check me out, I have this one. I love Rider-Waite-Smith, so I'm supposed to have this one or something like that. Let me find the Fool for you. I have showed the Fool many times, actually, every time I pull out this deck, but also, cardstock snobs, this is very nice cardstock. It's not laminated at all, and it shuffles beautifully. That effect is what we call the blushing fool. And it's in good condition. Yeah, the colors are nice, and the line work is great as well. So still, a pride deck, but a good one. I like it. The second question, greed, a deck you don't share with anyone or only use for yourself. That was kind of difficult for me because I think, especially now doing online readings, I use pretty much every deck in my collection, also for reading for others. But I think the one I use the least is still my Morgan's Tarot, which is actually an oracle, because it is so very unpredictable and crazy and weird. I absolutely love it though. It's not what you do that counts, it is where your head is at. I mean, look at this, like a Celtic cross, ignore the preceding. I think you can either, even in just practical, in a practical aspect, you can tell I don't use this deck for other people because I don't know it. Imagine this card coming up in a reading. Someone is laughing at you. It's too, like, there's too much humor in it and lightheartedness with which plenty of people, I'm sure, including myself, can appreciate. But imagine this card coming up after a very serious reading. Obviously, it's up to me to make sure this is not the deck that I use for that, particular reading. It's just, yeah. I love, absolutely love its whimsicalness and craziness. And yes, I actually do get deep messages from this deck. It's not just for fun. I still am in the process, and that will be a continuous process of making my own little guidebook, because I have the little white book in here and then enough space next to every card to write my own experiences with that card that day, or what I feel it means at that moment, which is a way to use my intuition and write it down so that it's all together with the meanings of the deck. Mostly the strength of this deck mostly lies in doing readings for oneself. And it's a great energy. I like working with it. Next question, Wrath, a deck you're angry at. Did you guys guess? I haven't used this one. I don't know. I just haven't used this one since I opened it. Look, it's not exactly true. Yes, I did do some readings with this deck. This is actually, I think, a vintage first edition. I mean, it's great. I love the artwork. But it's so easy to say, oh, I love this deck, even though you never read with it. When you say it like that, it means you just love the artwork. But the reason I am mad at this deck, El Grantaro Esoterico, this is because it's a Picard system. I knew what I was getting into when I got the deck. I still, though, can't wrap my head around in a way that the swords are water in this deck and that the cups are air. See, cups with butterflies. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with this deck, which is why I'm pissed at it. I'm angry at this deck because there's so much esoteric symbolism in here and it's very charming. The cardstock, by the way, is incredible. Very good condition also. Was very lucky. But yeah, I'm angry at this deck. I'm angry because I don't feel I can read with it. Because I'm not going to dismiss this system, I'm not going to read the cups as water when it's so clearly supposed to be air with the butterflies and the birds, and the swords as air when it's so clearly water. There's water in every swords card, which, by the way, is also true in the Rider-Waite Smith. But at least we know the cups are water there, This is so, and it drives me crazy, which is why I never pick it up. Or when I do, it's just to look through it. And because the cards are beautiful, look at this. But just no. I don't know what to do with this deck. So for now, it goes back in the box. Bye. Envy, a deck you wanted because other people have it. You might be surprised, but it's the Wild Unknown Tarot. This again is a first edition. I was not crazy in love with this deck when I first saw the images. And the reason I got this deck is exactly for this, because other people had it and I thought maybe I was missing out. And in the end, I believe I was missing out on something, because this tarot deck, you could say, revolutionized the tarot in a sense. More people uh, stepped away from the Rider-Waite-Smith system and started reading more Pippish cards. It was very modern deck. It's the first indie deck I think I saw, and people went nuts for this one. I never really went nuts for it, but I must admit it does have something special. And it's a little bit tothy, I feel. But I like that. I like that a lot. I'm really still happy I have the first edition, because I love the backs more. They look like a tree trunk. And the cardstock is just better. It shuffles much better, because the mass-produced one, at least the ones that I know of, they have something similar to rose petal, and so all the cards clump together. It's a nightmare. But look, it does have something special. It's just very subtle, I feel. Very subtle. And I might not delve super deep into this deck, although now that I'm saying this, I think I will at some point continue the looking up all the animals and the symbolisms, the meanings that they carry, so it makes a little bit more sense why, for instance, there's this on temperance, there's this on strength, there's the swords are all owls, etc. The cups are all swans. Why that is, why the Hierophant here is a raven, because honestly I was incredibly disappointed in the guidebook for the mass-produced deck, because in the first edition all we got was this sheet, which is actually really nice, but every card only has a few keywords. So perfectly fine for me, to be honest. But the guidebook for the mass-produced one offered a little bit more, although it offered everything except what I wanted, which was animal symbolism, for instance, or what you actually see in the card. Like, why are these lines going to that point, or why is that point exploding towards us? Why was blue chosen? And in the newer edition, why was it all of a sudden a rainbow, etc.? No, we got none of that. All we got was like rehashed, very minimalized, even Rider-Waite-Smith explanations. At least that's what I remember of the guidebook, because I was disappointed in it. I mean, I still have it, but it's not exactly a reference I can use, I feel, using this deck. This is probably the most minimalistic deck I have, but it does give enough for good readings, so I don't deny its strength. But for sure, this is a deck I got because other people had it and raved about it. So there. Lust, a deck I got for aesthetic reasons. Without a doubt, that is my Polka tarot deck. Because it says it's a Marseille, but it's not. And I know I keep saying the same things in every video. That's just the way it is with a small tarot collection, I guess, or with just even having a YouTube channel about tarot. But this is gorgeous, isn't it? Especially after the mod, if I may say so myself. The backs were not something I liked, so I backed them in this black contact paper and then put this red, which bled onto the fronts, and it fits because there's quite a lot of blood in this deck. Now, it's not a Marseille, although this is very much looks like Marseille. This, then again, doesn't, because it's supposed to be the Six of Swords, and we only see two. but look at the colors. So pretty. I really do like this artwork, and I enjoy working with this deck. I do. I just have to be in the mood because around the month of October this year, I decided to work with this deck because I needed a bunch of cold people to to give me some messages, and yeah, it worked out. It worked out. It was really fun. It's really fun to read with this deck. It does have some Marseille satirical influences, and it's more than just pretty, for sure. We can have good readings with this deck. It's just misnamed, in my opinion. But I love having a pip deck that has such beautiful, deep colors. And look at all this detail here in the clothes, and it's I love it so much. So yeah, for sure, it's more than just aesthetic reasons, but I think when I got this deck, it wasn't like, ooh, that might be the deck for me, or I'm going to have incredible readings with this deck, because look at these pips. Not exactly easy to get a message from those. So sometimes I hesitate with these types of cards, because here we obviously got the Three of Wands, fine, but not a lot to go on, not a lot of symbolism to go on. And then here, this is supposed to be the Seven of Wands. I mean, I think I only see six. Yeah. And then here, this is the, oh wait, no, this was the Six of Wands. Good, 6 wands. At least there's that. And then here's 7 of wands, and it's completely different. What is this supposed to be, But at least then the imagination starts working. So, yeah. I think I saw this card and was sold, because this totally works with the 5 of wands meaning as well, doesn't it? I mean, I can make something out of that, for sure. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get incredible readings with this deck. It really was, ooh, that's cool. I'm going to get it. Yep. Polka Tarot. Gluttony, a deck you really didn't need, but purchased anyway. The Druid Craft Tarot. um, the reason I picked this one for greed, no wait, for gluttony, was that I already had a Druid Craft. And for no reason at all, apart from wanting to trim it differently. I can't even believe I am um, admitting this on my channel. I got a second deck. This is crazy, absolutely crazy to me, because this was the way I wanted to trim my Druid Craft, because I know what every card um, means. I know the titles, and I kind of hate seeing 3 of Swords, 6 of Pentacles. Just give me a number, preferably Roman numeral, or even nothing, like in a Rider-Waite-Smith with the numbered cards. Like, we can see how many pentacles there are, and this is still very reminiscent of Rider-Waite-Smith system, so please don't give me those big ass words on every card. Yeah, this is death, we get it. This is the Knight of Pentacles. Then here, for instance, this is the equivalent of Temperance, but it's called the Ferald. But I never forgot that. So it's not exactly like I need all those titles. And you guys probably know, I do like borders. I feel like it frames the card, it's nice to look at, and it brings some kind of cohesion in the deck, especially with a deck that is so vibrant in colors, in coloration. So I wanted to trim it like this, so that we still see the stone border, because this deck has too much border, right? It has white border, already big cards. It has a white border, stone border, and then the title. Except that I wasn't sure I wanted to, here, rebirth, right? I never forgot that. Anyway, I wasn't sure I did a good job with this or something, and then I got the newest version of the Druid Craft and trimmed it in the same way, except that I left the title. And honestly, it looks great. But now I have two Druid Craft decks, and I have no idea which one to keep, because it's a little bit insane to me to have two of the exact same decks, and also this deck being the Druid Craft. It's not like it's my favorite deck at all. I like it. I don't mind it. I have to be in the mood for it, but it's not at all my favorite deck. You can be sure of that. I don't know. It's just, yeah, not exactly my style, and the artwork isn't what I usually go for. But still, it has something that I like. But then it only makes sense to only have one, right? Ah, I don't know. Gluttony, I guess. Last one, Sloth, a deck you use when you feel lazy. So, this is the only one I'm going to add in my favorite deck, which is the Triomphe della Luna. But don't leave yet, because this is not the actual answer. I just wanted to include it. Obviously, we have to cheat a little bit with these tags, right? Otherwise, it's not a tarot tag. Yeah, this is a deck I pick when I feel lazy. It's probably because I know it so well, obviously, but also it's Marseille Pips. And Pips, even though obviously I read it elementally, numerologically, directionally, etc., it does give much more freedom. So I don't have to read what the card depicts in the does this make sense? Like, I don't have to read the 10 of Pentacles as family, you know, although most of the time I do. It's part of it. But if the reading brings me to something that is completely different, yet in my mind somehow there's a red thread and it's still related to the 10 of Coins, it's somehow more freeing to go there. The reason being, what are we even looking at here? It's 10 coins and then some plants and flowers. I mean, I think this is beautiful, and I love to be able to read this stuff, but it's not like we are fixed with the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery, you know, or any type of other imagery where it's a scene and we are much more tied to a meaning. So I hope that I explained that well. It's not like I go off and talk about whatever when I pull a card. It's definitely guided by the imagery and the meaning, the esoteric meaning of it. But you know, it's my own. It's my own. It's my own. And I know Sylvain talked about that in another video of his, like that he wants to get into reading playing cards. Well, I don't have that urge, but tarot does the same thing for me, as he explained what he hopes to find in reading playing cards, because he is making his own system. And this, definitely being so abstract, it gives so much freedom to make it your own system. Okay? But the actual answer to this question is a good old Rider-Waite-Smith, funnily enough. And this is the Golden Rider. Looks very 70s, but it's a 90s deck. And it's gorgeous because this is a French edition, as you can see. It's gorgeous because it's the Rider-Waite-Smith clone, Pamela Coleman Smith's drawings, but then repainted in beautiful different colors. And yeah, I mean, this is just a Rider-Waite-Smith, which is why it's in this category of Sloth, a deck you use when you feel lazy. It's kind of like, hey, I feel like pulling out something else than my Centennial if I feel like reading Rider-Waite-Smith style. But I still want to switch it up. And so this is like a very easy alternative. And I'm really, really happy to own this deck because it's just nice. It's just nice to have all these options. Yeah. So that was my Sloth deck going back in the box. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this tag. Let me know if you agree with me, if you have any of these decks and think, yeah, you're absolutely right. That is definitely a flexing deck, or that is definitely a deck you should be angry at, etc. Anyway, I enjoyed doing this tag so much. Vlogmas is great. It's just I feel like switching it up a little bit, and you seem to enjoy that as well. So there you go. Thank you again to Papa Squirrel. Thank you again to Sylvain. And I will see you tomorrow for the last day of Vlogmas. So exciting. I'll see you then.